Now, people come and say, I want the refugee status and I'm an asylum seeker. And in most cases, quote the wrong country. Tell us the name of a wrong country, not the correct country they come from. I know they might deny it, but that's what our officials experience every day. Where people, in other words, they quote a country in which they know the convention will apply, because they come from a country where the convention won't easily apply. So we want proof in processing, because that makes us take a long time.
Let me give a quick response, because I can see both shaking their heads and saying, it doesn't look like you agree, Sharon.
It definitely happens.
Okay, which we can't dispute, because I can imagine there are cases that does happen, but your response to that?
Well, I think it fits in with what we phrase as institutional xenophobia, because there's the minute someone comes into the country, there's a immediate prejudice that you are lying, that you're coming here to exploit our resources. And with all fairness, Minister, you have to provide us with substantiated information to show and demonstrate the numbers of people that are lying about where they're coming from, based on where they're coming from.
Let me mention one thing, and I'll really appeal to Sharon. There's something I'll hate which happens in this country. You know, Leanne, when you are not able to face somebody with facts, there are two things that is thrown at them. If you are white, they throw racism at you. If you are in government, in Home Affairs, they throw xenophobia at you, on anything that you are saying. Can we leave that aside? Because every time you mention something that is a problem, if you are in government, they throw xenophobia at you. That is to silence you. The issue of fraud and doing wrong things is real. For instance, I'm happy. I asked Camille when he came here whether he belonged to the group of the chairperson of the Diaspora Forum chaired by Vusi Moses Vanda, who complained when I mentioned publicly that is a fraudster. He defrauded our documents, and there were 8,700 such fraudsters. So this is not just lying that we are throwing xenophobia and all that. 8,700 people defrauded South African documents. There were so many that we did not even take them to court. They were giving amnesty and saying, let's start from the beginning. So we are not as evil as they are saying.
You're not making this information up.
Yes, it's a factual thing. Anybody who defrauds your document destroys your sovereignty. In other words, the order and the rules that are there, they just undermine them. They undermine your sovereignty. They undermine your parliament. The parliament that was elected by people to represent the whole country. Their laws are being thrown aside. Now, when we mention those things, I don't like anybody to throw the ticket of xenophobia, because human rights and disorder are not one and the same thing. When we try to put order, it's not because we are xenophobic. Every country wants order. Even the issue which is always quoted of ANC having been exiled, Leanne, there were rules, there were regulations, there were laws. People were put in camps, they couldn't live there without a permission written by that government. So it's not true that people just ran to any country on the continent or anywhere on earth. There were rules, and we are trying to put such rules also on the table.
Of course, when you go to a country, you abide by their rules and their laws and their regulations.
Hello everyone, welcome to GNU According to CD, that is Government of National Unity. So guys, this is an opinion piece from me. This is my opinion, these are my views, and I feel like it's important that my views be out there for your own analysis, dissection, or whatever the case might be. Guys, we do have enemies within the country, enemies that are making sure that the people of South Africa, they are hurt, unheard, shut down, and also pushed to a corner and beaten to submission, so that illegal foreigners and other people that want to exploit our country at the expense of the citizens, they make sure that happens. And these are the NGOs, or the so-called NGOs, whom I'm asking myself, what is the agenda behind that? Of course, the agenda, I just mentioned it. They want to subdue the people of South Africa into submission, so that illegal foreigners, they can go into into South African business sector, take up jobs that were naturally created for the people of South Africa. Business opportunities that were created for the people of South Africa. Case in point, during the days of apartheid, Black people were not allowed by the apartheid government to create their own businesses and job creation for their communities. And as a result of that, what did they do? They came up with an alternative way of conducting business through spaza shops. Basically, spaza shop simply means camouflage. The reason why it's called a camouflage is because it is a small little establishment where it's in your yard, in your house, and you are selling goods to the public, like bread, milk, cold drink, discipline, whatever the case might be. And then came 1994, and then we had influx of foreigners, and then they saw our business model that was invented by the people of South Africa. And today, all across our country, in our townships, rural areas, transitions, etc., and so on, what do you find? A puzzle shop that is not owned by a South African. And for some reason, we allow them to walk into our lives simply because of our Ubuntu, simply because we felt bad that, oh my goodness, they are coming from countries that we've seen on television. For example, Ethiopia. I mean, whenever I thought of Ethiopia growing up, I used to think of babies with big bellies and flies on their mouth. This is the same image that I've come to learn that Americans and other parts of the Western world were also seeing. So I always thought that, I mean, you remember Michael Jackson's song with all the other artists, I think it's Heal the World or something like that. That song was dedicated to Ethiopia, 1980 something. That is the image I've always had in mind. So when they came to South Africa, when they started coming in, yes, at this time, probably I should have known better. I admit my own ignorance, but in my head, I still had that picture. The moment you say Ethiopia, the first thing that comes to mind is babies with bellies and flies and war going on in the background. That is always been this picture. So we understood. We were like, oh, Ethiopians, you are welcome. Just feel at home. And then we didn't know that this was a Trojan horse to swallow up our original business ideas in our township, our economy in our township. And today they are everywhere. Came the Somalis, came the Pakistanis, came the Bangladeshis, came whoever that is here that is not even supposed to be in this country to begin with, because there are no wars going on in their countries. All they did is they found a loophole through NGOs that keep opening this loophole larger and larger and larger. And every time that the people of South Africa cry, guess what they come and say? Xenophobic. That's how they shut us up. They shut even a whole minister of Home Affairs who has intelligence. And I'm not talking him being intelligent. I'm talking about the establishments, the organization of state security, who has information, and she still says this particular lady right here. And I've seen this lady. I don't even know what her name is. You can tell, number one, she couldn't care less, because the most people that bear the brunt of illegal foreigners in this country are Black African people. Let's be straight on that one. She's an Indian lady who doesn't even sound South African to me at all, because, I mean, hello, my township was next door to Chatsworth. So I know how Indians speak like, all right? South African Indians. And she sounds a mixture of British, American, even Canadian somewhere there, which tells me she is not even a South African herself. Why should she even empathize with the people of South Africa? Okay, fine. Let's say she is a South African citizen. But of course, we know that some of these kind of people do not like Black people. And she found a way, a legal way, inverted commas, of oppressing and suppressing the Black South Africans by guising as an NGO to suppress us by defending and also taking our government into court every time when South Africans say we want our country back. And she would come and she would gaslight the minister, gaslight the people of South Africa. And to me personally, this is the enemy of the Black people in South Africa. This is the enemy of South Africa. This lady right here, this very lady, she's the traitor. She's a sellout, and she doesn't give a shit about the people of South Africa. She doesn't. All that she is going to do is sing for her money. If you had to follow her, I'm not saying do it. Please don't do it. Don't follow nobody. But all I'm saying is, I bet she lives in a gated community. I bet she doesn't have to worry about her children and herself. She doesn't know the feeling of a woman just like her who is looking for her daughter who's gone missing probably for years. And guess where she might be? In Campton Park. If she's not in Campton Park, she's in Hillbrow. If she's not in Hillbrow, she's somewhere in Point, Durban, or somewhere in Belleville, in Cape Town being prostituted by who? By an illegal foreigner, or a foreigner for that matter, who came here with the purpose of making illegal money, blood money, tears money, and she couldn't give a shit about that because that child is a black child. She doesn't. And she will never will either. That is why whenever she feels that, okay, you know what, they are making a point here, then she comes with xenophobia to shut you down, because that is the word that they've managed to instill in the people of South Africa, that every time we try to rise up, they say we are xenophobic. And why is it only South Africa is the only country that whenever it wants to clean out the dirt, we are called xenophobic? And we are saying, listen, our communities, we are losing young boys as young as 11 years old. They are hooked on drugs because a Nigerian that came to our township, into our rurals and transitions, sold drugs to our children. And now these kids are starting to steal from their homes so that they can get a kick out of whatever it is that was sold to them by this Nigerian. But she doesn't give a shit. You know why? Because her children are in a gated community where a Nigerian has no reach over them. This is the enemy of our country, the so-called NGOs. There she was, being told by a home minister, yes, he's the former minister of home affairs, that he has got information. He even gives an example of this whatever nonsense of a man that he was talking about, that he himself has fake documents, and he managed to get over 800 of Zimbabweans to get permits. Working permits, I think it's called ZAP or something like that, and yet themselves had illegal documents. Some even had the audacity to demand for citizenship in this country, and this lady's like, yes, give it to them. Okay, she might not have said it like that, but that is the mentality. Because the people of South Africa, the only job that they've got is that every time there's elections, we must go and vote because we are voting cows. So that her NGO will continue to be the shit that it is to the people of South Africa. Because as long as democracy reigns in South Africa, her organization will continue to exist. Under apartheid, this so-called NGO did not exist because the apartheid government would have shut it down. And I am not in support of draconian laws. I'm not in support of dictatorship. I'm not in support of apartheid system. I'm not in support of anything that takes away the will of the people. South Africa is a sovereignty. Can they please respect our sovereignty? Can she respect the sovereignty of this country? By saying, listen, guys, human rights is not associated with lawlessness. But no, lawlessness and illegality goes hand in hand in her NGO. Her NGO needs to be called out for what it is. The people of South Africa, you need to rise against this NGO. Rise against this NGO. Have it shut down. Take it to court if we have to. It is not in the best interest of South Africans. I'm sure as the sun will shine, probably this woman has a legal foreigner working as a maid in her house. Probably even mistreats her because she's a illegal foreigner to begin with. The illegal foreigner is at her mercy. You know why? Because she's black and African. No. Guys, come on. This has been going on for far too long, and we've been quiet for far too long, and it's not right. This is not right, lady, whatever your name is. This is not right. What your NGO should be doing is teaching these people, do not come to another country or somebody else's land without following the laws of that country. We have fucking sovereignty. We are a sovereignty. You cannot come and shut us up when we are telling you that our communities are destroyed. It's easy for you to talk because you live in a gated community, probably. You are safe, you and your children. What about ours? What about ours that are getting kidnapped? How many got kidnapped today? How many right now who were kidnapped? There are men that are busy violating them on a single day basis. They're getting drugged so that they don't remember home. And this is what this NGO is fighting for, not against. This is not right. This is not right. We know we are not of your race. This is racism, this lady and her NGO. This is racism. It's got nothing to do with protecting illegal foreigners. There is money wherever she's getting it from, and whoever is funding this NGO has an agenda with the people of South Africa to suppress us, shut us up when we want to say something. If we do manage to say something, we get labeled xenophobia. No, man, fuck you. No, honestly, this is not right. This is not right, and it cannot be right. And we cannot support this. This NGO needs to be called out. This NGO needs to be shut down by the people of South Africa. If you don't get angry at this NGO, fellow South Africans, then I don't know, then we might as well just give up this fight. We might as well just give it up, because they will always run to court, always use the loopholes in our constitution so that they sneak in nonsense that is not needed in our communities. How are these people contributing in the economy of South Africa? How? When? If they do, then why do we have this small pool of taxpayers on a yearly basis? If we have so many people that are contributing, inverted commas. No. I cannot support this. I will not support this NGO. I will not. It's a racist NGO, this one. Hates the people of South Africa, particularly Black South Africans, because it's Black South Africans that bear the brunt of illegal foreigners. 33.5% of unemployment. She's sitting on her ears. Tone deaf. And she couldn't care less even if she could hear that it's 33.5% of unemployment rate. And this 33.5, it's Black people, the youth. Has she hopped on a taxi in the morning and went wherever deliberately, and here inside the taxi, how many South Africans are there? Not even one these days. Everybody. I mean, look at the roadblocks. The police officers will tell you that a whole taxi, when we stop it and we ask for documentation, none of them have documentation because none of them are South African citizens. But she's okay with that. She's okay with that. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. And let South Africans rot in their homes. Let them get called lazy. Let them get called whatever it is that the world feels like throwing at the people of South Africa. While the people that are not even supposed to be here wake up every morning and earn a salary at the end of the month. This is not right. 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 I know, people. No, it's enough. It is enough. It's enough, people. It's enough.